Hello to everyone. Thank you all for joining me at this time. My name is Shavi Zane, and at this time, I'm coming on to have a discussion with you all, specifically for those of you who find yourself at a crossroads in your life. Um, and this is in regards to your purpose, okay? Now, I've done some readings in the past in regards to what are your gifts and how can you build on those gifts, and also how to awaken those gifts or what is blocking your gifts. But at this time, I want to speak specifically on those of you who you're currently at a position, whether it's your own business, whether you're at a 9 to 5, whatever the case may be, a specific career path that you might have been on for a number of years. But now you've come to a space where you realize that it's not what you were put here to do. You realize that you're no longer passionate about it. Your heart is no longer in it, or is not in alignment with your spiritual path and those things that you have come into knowledge of as you continue to evolve at this time. So, this message is specifically for you all. Um, so, I want to first start off by I did speak a little bit in the past in regards to my specific journey and how I came to be here where I am today. I spoke about it in a live reading that I had done, and many of you did not get a chance to see the live, but they took it down because I spoke on some other things that, apparently the powers that were do not want to be exposed. And so now I want to express it again because it is in alignment with what we're going to be discussing today. And I will also be pulling the cards as well to get a little bit more specific in terms of what you can do about this, okay? So, real quickly, I just want to tell you all a little bit about how I came to be where I am in terms of my calling. And so, I'd say about 2.5 years ago, about a little bit over 3 years ago, I began my spiritual path, okay? I began to awaken to who I am. Um, Probably close to 4 years now. I'm probably, but either way, I began to awaken to the fact that I was being led down a different path. And one of the first things that I prayed for was wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Because at that time, I understood that that was far more valuable than asking for anything that was on the surface in terms of material wise. I wanted to be able to see things and to understand things from a higher perspective. And so I prayed for that, and many different changes began to happen in my life, okay? Um, I started doing a lot of healing, a lot of things that I had been suppressing began to come up. But I noticed that changes were not only happening inside of me, but they was also a mirror reflection of what was beginning to happen external. And so, after I said that prayer, it's like the Most High knew that, okay, this is your time to awaken. This is the time that I need you to, get up out of that slumber, get up out of that comfort zone that you're in, and it's time for you to do something different. Now, at that time, I had been working as a registered nurse. I did that for 5.5 years. And I was already kind of on a limbo, kind of on the fence in terms of as I continued down my spiritual path, I started to see things about that particular field that it made me uncomfortable. And I knew that in order for me to continue to grow, I was going to be taken down a different path away from that career. Either that or I was going to stagnate and box in my spiritual understanding in order to stay comfortable for material gain. So it's like I had a choice. You never lose your free will. You always have a choice. So I knew I had a choice. But apparently my calling was much greater. And so the Most High kept good on his word. When I asked for it, I received it. And life catapulted me out of a crazy marriage, out of, a home that I had for myself and my children. Everything shifted. I'm talking about I went from, working as a registered nurse, making X amount of money, doing pretty well for myself, but not really able to save anything. But at the same time, I was catapulted to uh, pretty much having absolutely nothing and living on the couch, okay? Staying with a relative at the time, okay? And things were very questionable. But one thing that I never lost was my faith. Okay, I knew that in that moment, everything was shifting for a reason. This could not be by chance. There was no way that what I was dealing with was just happening by chance. I understood because I was receiving too many synchronicities. Prior to this even happening, every single time I went to go look at a clock, it's digital clocks everywhere, whether it was walking into the kitchen to go and get a snack at 1 o'clock in the morning and the clock is saying 1:11, or waking up randomly to go use the bathroom and the clock is saying 2:22. I was getting so many synchronicities that was showing me, random animals, wild animals that would come around. And it was like, something is shifting here. I'm being shown that there is something greater outside of what I've been accustomed to on the surface, from those things that I've seen on the surface of life. Because you get up, you go to work, you have your 9 to 5 or whatever your hours are, and you get so caught up in the material realm. You get so caught up in the schedule, the routine, and being, and having time being compartmentalized where everything is on a schedule. And so when you veer off of that schedule, the only thing you're concerned about is what you're going to do next and how you're going to get back on track. And so you miss out on all of those opportunities to see things from a spiritual perspective. And so at that time, I was being shown all of these things. And so when I ended up leaving, I left one state and came to another where I'm currently at. And I lost my ID. I lost my driver's license and my state ID. I had no identification. And my intentions when I moved was to come to this particular state and to have my license, my nurse's license transferred over and to start working. But when I got here, about a month later, COVID happened. And so I was like, okay, wait a minute. Things are really shifting here. This is not no coincidence. I knew at that point it was bigger. But things happened, the family member's house that I was staying at, they told me that me and my children, we had to leave. And they claim it was because the landlord was complaining about us. I have a lot of small children. And so we ended up staying in a motel, and at that time it wasn't nothing nice because I had no income, and the family member, they said they could only do but so much. And so I was amongst prostitutes and pimps and people that was on drugs and all types of things. But I made the best of my circumstances, and I knew it was like every day I still found a way to wake up and smile. I was not in a space where I was bitter. I was not in a space where I was angry. I felt like it was my opportunity to continue to give praise and to give thanks. And that's exactly what I did. I never missed a beat. Of course I had nights where I cried and I grieved the life that I was walking away from, or that I was being removed from, because that's a natural reaction. I had been removed from a very bad marriage. I had to leave behind my oldest son with his father. My other 5 children are by, the bad marriage, okay? And so it was one of those situations where life had shifted so much that, yeah, I was grieving all of these changes that was happening. But at the same time, as much as I could have focused in on all of the losses that I was taking at that time, what could have been seen as losses. But instead, I had already understood the mind. I had already gained a clear understanding of how the mind works and how what you focus on, you create. And so I made a decision that my thoughts would be geared towards those things that I could be thankful for. And so I stayed amongst nature. I stayed, of course, in prayer and giving thanks and gratitude. And, I began, the Most High sat me down and said, okay, I'm going to show you why I shifted you out of that particular position. Because trust and believe, I was still in my ego to a degree. I was still growing and learning and healing. And so at that time, I was still filling out the applications and trying to send to the state that I had just come from, like, hey, I need my ID. I did it at least 7 different times over a year span of trying to gain one piece of identification, just one state ID, so that I could go to the nurses boards and have my license transferred. It took a whole year before I had an ID in my hand. But what happened during that whole year of me sitting down and not being able to work as a nurse was I learned my craft. My gift was building within me. My gift was forming within me. And because I maintained patience and I persevered and I never gave up on knowing that this was guiding me towards something greater, that was me actually nurturing the seed that had been planted when I prayed for wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. And I also had prayed, which I did not mention, I had also prayed that my gifts would be revealed to me, what I was actually put here to do. And so the seed of that prayer had already been planted. All I needed to do at that point was nurture that seed. And the way that I nurtured that seed was through gratitude and through just knowing that every shift that took place in my life, no matter how chaotic it felt in that moment, was me moving closer to what I had prayed for, was me getting closer to the destination that I had prayed for. And so I knew better to not say, how could I be in this situation? No, it was like, I'm in this situation because I'm almost there. And the good thing about what I do is that I always had to check in, with my spiritual team. Of course I would pull cards on myself, like, okay, where am I going wrong here? And a lot of times I would see, because there was times where I would begin to worry about money. I would begin to worry about, well, how am I going to pay these people for the next month? Or, how am I going to feed my children? Because we was eating out of a microwave for a minute, okay? And so I just saw 11:11 on my clock. That part of myself that wanted to, that part of me, that old part of me wanted to come back up. That fear, that, going back into survival mode. But I said no. And so I kept seeing that that's where I was at. I was in survival mode. I was in this energy of being overly focused in on how I was going to survive. And so I said, no, I got to shift this. So it showed me that my root chakra was off. Okay, so let me start working on my root chakra while all of these changes are happening. Let me get myself back balanced. Let me, do what's necessary to remind myself that there is infinite abundance that is available to me. And there are infinite possibilities on how this thing can be worked out. All I need to do is do my part and be of servitude and to stay in a space of gratitude and to continue to hold the vision. And so I kept building myself. The Most High kept showing me how to build myself and how to, strengthen myself internally. Like that internal foundation was being crafted and created during this time of all of these shifts and transformations that was happening in my life. And so I'm here today, I haven't worked as a registered nurse for 2 years now. And pretty soon, actually, by the end of this month, they just sent me an email saying that, my registered nurse's license, it'll be expired by that time. But I'm not concerned about resubmitting anything because I know what I've been called to do. And so there was a time where I would have gotten anxious because there were moments that I started to catch anxiety, like, well, should I just go back? Because if I do this, if I just go back, I know that they're going to pay me more. Because, of course, with COVID, they're paying nurses, a whole bunch of money because it's such a high risk type of position that you're in. And so my ego would say, just go back. But then the spiritual part of myself, my higher consciousness would say, but that's going to take you backwards. That's going to put you in survival mode. That's going to first have you feeling shameful and guilty about what you're doing because it's not in alignment with your belief system anymore. You don't believe in giving people chemicals anymore. But the only reason why, this is me talking to myself. The only reason why you would go back is for the sake of creating material abundance. Then I had to remind myself, but do you remember when you worked as a nurse for 5.5 years and barely was able to save anything? Because it was really many circumstances was happening in my life at that time that was showing me like, it doesn't matter how much money you make. It can slip through your fingers just as fast if you still have lack mentality. And many people who make lots of money still have that issue of lack mentality. Not the fact that they feel that they lack material wise, because they probably have an overflow of that. But the fact that they feel that they lack the ability to create abundance for themselves outside of doing something that's not in alignment with what they believe in. They feel that there's not enough, creativity that they possess. There's not enough love that they possess, self-love that they possess. There's not enough personal power or strength that they possess in order to step outside of the confounds or the expectations of the world and just take that narrow path to do what your soul is calling you to do. And so this, I wanted to just share my testimony with you all who might be in a position where you feel like, I'm at a crossroads and I don't want to be here. I don't like this job. I'm stressed out every day trying to get to work on time. And I feel like, this person, they have their foot on my neck and they're always badgering me about this or that. And, whatever your position is, now is the time to really take a good look at what's causing you to stay in that. So that's what I'm here to help you to do. So I know I was a little bit long-winded in terms of my testimony, but I feel like that's very relevant here. And so one thing that I've noticed about a lot of, a lot of the people, I really did want to give thanks for a lot of the people that gave donations, but I think I'm just going to put it in the description box below. I did have one person who was anonymous that did not want to be mentioned. I want to tell you thank you. I'll do that in the description box below. I meant to mention that, but I'll move on. So what does faith look like for you? Because this is all about faith, okay? Biblical text speaks on having that faith of a mustard seed, that faith that'll move a whole mountain. So you're talking about something that's, probably almost no bigger than a grain of salt, damn near, to something that can move an entire mountain, okay? And so that similitude is really is to show you that type of faith is not easy to acquire when you're doing things based off of ego or based off of materialism or based off of others' expectations of you. That type of faith is not it's not easy to obtain, okay? It takes work, it takes healing, it takes gratitude, it takes perseverance, and it takes personal power to create that much of faith, okay, which seems small, but that seed is the seed that gets planted, okay? And once you're able to obtain that type of faith, that seed is what you're going to nurture, because it doesn't happen overnight. Everything happens in divine timing, exactly when it's supposed to happen. But what your position is to just nurture the seed through your love, through your compassion, through your gratitude, and continuing to build and sharpen those gifts that the Most High has given to you naturally. That's how you nurture the seed. You also nurture the seed by protecting it and ensuring that no weeds are sprouting out, which will be those negative people, those negative voices that come around to tell you, no, you should stay in that position because, look at how much schooling you had to go through, or, that title affords you this and affords you that. And if you go over there, what are you going to have? That's the weeds that you need to cut up out of your life so that you can protect that seed that's growing, okay? And then also the self-doubt, the fear, okay? The ego, and anything that keeps you in your lower nature, being in survival mode, okay? Lack mentality. Those are the weeds that need to be cut out so that as you continue to nurture that divinely given gift, it grows beautifully, okay? And you don't know how big this thing is going to grow. All you know is that it's growing. You're not sitting there watching to try to see how long it's going to take, okay? Because you're no longer confined by time. You're just doing the work. You're just being authentic in your nature. That's what you're really called here to do. That's the first job, the first responsibility that we have here, especially as the chosen, is to just do the work of just being and allowing things to happen naturally and continuing to nurture our gift. If you have a vision, and if you know what your purpose is, let's say you know that you're a healer, you know that you're a teacher, you know that you're meant to help the youth in some way, shape, or form. You know that you're meant to counsel or mentor couples in some sort of way. And you know that these things take, in order for you, I'd say, you know that your ultimate goal for doing these things is to be of service to humanity. You know this. You know that that's your purpose. And so for you, your ultimate goal is to build from a space of honor, build from a space of integrity, be able to do your work from a space of compassion, love, okay? And, you want to come from a pure space because the ultimate goal is to heal. The only way that you can heal others is to first be a healer to yourself. And so when you know that you have to possess those types of characteristics in order to carry out whatever you've been called to do, what you know you've been called to do, then you have to first do the work and be okay with accepting the changes that are going to happen in order to get you there. Okay, so I want to see, I'm just going to pull from this deck first. Just randomly pull from this deck first to see what comes out for you all. If there's any messages, and then I'm going to see, I'm going to ask a couple of questions here. Okay, so you have people around you who might have place some stumbling blocks in your way, especially if you have a divine calling to do something that is of service to humanity. Um, we're in the age of Aquarius, so things are shifting now. And so people are now having to come out of that egotistical, materialistic type of mindset. They're starting to see that that's no longer working. And so you have here, they are experiencing karmic debt for their actions. And so there are people around you who probably know that you have a divine purpose and a calling, who played their role in slowing you down and placing those stumbling blocks in front of you to try to keep you from getting to your divine purpose, okay, or for rising to your divinity. They're receiving their karmic debt. And so if this is something that has held you back, if you are overly focused on the losses that you have taken, then you're being called to redirect your attention to the blessings that you are going to receive as a result of the sacrifices that you had to make. You're being called to redirect your focus, being that this is the first card that came out, okay? Then we have here, you will see very soon what his or her motives are. So you're going to see very clearly, but I feel like this is going to be you seeing past the surface, okay? And so, again, if you have people, if your focus is on why did I take these losses? Why is my boss always picking at me? Why are my coworkers always trying to ostracize me or cause problems for me? Why is, my husband or my spouse not being supportive of my path? Or my business partners not being supportive of my vision? Whatever the case may be, you will see very soon what his or her motives are. But I feel like it's going to be from a higher perspective that you're going to gain that understanding. Okay? And so once you redirect your focus, okay, this is just dealing with the third eye chakra. So once you redirect your focus and begin to listen to your intuition on this, you'll be able to see things from a higher perspective, okay? Because this is just symptoms of a blocked off third eye chakra, extreme colds, cough, sneezing, polyps. If you're dealing with any of these types of symptoms, that would be that nasal congestion or whatever. That would largely be dealing with your third eye chakra. But then, okay, let's move on. So what I have here at the bottom of the deck is you are stagnating your growth because you won't let him or her go. So if some of you are in certain relationships, whether this is friendships, actual romantic partnerships, marriages, family relationships, there's something about this relationship, he or she, you're going to have to listen to your intuition on this though, in terms of who this is. Your growth is being stagnated because of their energy in your life. And so if you hold on too tightly to those things that are in opposition to your growth, that is you putting the energy out there into the universe that says, I only desire those things that keep me boxed in. I only desire those things that are going to stunt my growth. And so you attract more of those things to you. But once you actually release people, places, or things from your life that are in opposition to your growth, then you are sending the message out there that says, now your hands are open and ready to receive all of those things that are going to be all about uplifting and all about expansion, all about evolution. And that's what you're going to attract to you. And so you might have literally your blockage in terms of you being able to take the leap towards your destiny could largely be because of someone else's influence over how you think, because someone else is creating stumbling blocks for you because they see that you have a passion, they see that you have a gift. Maybe you share too much of your vision with certain people who are not in alignment or they're not growing themselves. And so they might have done something to you emotionally or mentally to make you not take the path. But you will see very soon what his or her motives are. So the answers you need are going to come. And just know that your growth has been stagnated because They've played their part, but now it's time for you to play your part in recognizing, identifying what this person, place, or thing is, which I sense it as a person here based on the cards, who this is, recognizing the role that they played in your life, taking the lessons that they brought with them, no matter how karmic or how chaotic or how painful it has been, acknowledging that and letting them go. That is going to be a door opener. I feel like gates will open as a result of you taking this action here. So listen to your intuition in terms of who that is in your life. Let me see what else is coming out here, and then I'm going to pull from another deck. That's a lot of cards, but I'll take them. So it says, keep sharpening your gift and building your creative nature. So some of you already know what your gift is. Some of you are well aware of what your purpose is. And okay, I got another one that also flipped out, so I'll take this one too. Some of you know what your purpose is. You're still currently on a 9-to-5 or a career path, whatever it is. And you feel like this is just not it. You know, it ain't no, you're not in a space of believing anymore. You're in a space of knowing. But the only thing that's holding you back is others' opinions and fear. And so now you're being called to direct your focus on sharpening your gifts and building your creative nature. If you are in a space if you're in survival mode and you're concerned about maintaining your stability, like that's really the dominant thought that you have on your mind in terms of being able to take this leap of faith forward, then you're needing to work on your root chakra. And as you work on your root chakra, there's multiple ways to do it. Y'all can look up ways to do it, but getting out into nature is a great way to do it. Taking in green vegetables and, live fruits and vegetables is a great way to do it through smoothies and juicing and things of that nature. Wearing certain crystals, tourmalines, jaspers, that will help you. Listening to frequencies for the root chakra, that will help. Lighting red candles, that's, the root chakra is red. And writing your affirmations on there. I am wealthy, I am abundant, I am stable, I am secure. Because that's what you really need to know at this time, is that you are secure. So if you are in that energy, I said that to say, if your root chakra is blocked, then every other chakra is going to be compromised from there. And so getting to the root of the issue, which deals with your security, it might even take you back to childhood, where it's like, okay, you got to dig a little bit deeper now. You got to go deeper into childhood, because then it might take you back to abandonment issues. Then it might take you back to those days where if you had to go hungry, if you ever dealt with poverty, or if you ever watched your parents suffer and struggle and stay on a job that they hated, all because they believed that they had to do it that way. And they might have convinced you that you had to do it that way, either through their actions or through their words, or both. And so taking it back to the root chakra, to the root of the core of the issue, is where you're going to begin your healing process, so that then you can shift your perception and come out of survival mode and move into thriving, knowing that you are protected, knowing that you are safe, and knowing that you have everything that you need, even when you don't physically see it right there in front of you. Because one thing about society is that it will fool you. It will trick you into believing that there is not enough. You'll walk into a grocery store, and this is how society is played with your mind. You'll walk into a grocery store, you got one big old cart, and because you don't see enough Sara Lee bread on the shelf, all of a sudden you feel like there's a food shortage. But at the end of the day, it's all other types of bread that's available. And not only that, by the time you leave up out of there, if you really wanted to fill up your cart, there's more than enough. You can't take that whole store with you. And so in that moment, because you see a void space, then somehow it's like, it's not enough. There's not enough here if it's not an overflow that my natural eyes can see. You have to start looking at this from a spiritual perspective. So taking it to your own personal circumstances outside of the grocery store. Okay, so you may not have the biggest home that you desire. So you may not, have the type of car that's equipped for you and your family. But that's only looking at it from the surface. Looking at it from a higher perspective, are you able to get around? Are you still alive? Are you able to breathe? Do you have your mental faculties in order? Are you physically healthy? And if you're not physically healthy, do you possess the mental the mental capability to research on how to get your health back in order? There's always ways to find some sort of gratitude to shift the energy and to shift your perspective so that you're not focused in on what you don't see, but that you're focused in on what you want to create versus what you don't see there in front of you right now. And so perception is everything. And so keep sharpening your gifts and building your creative nature. Once you work on your root chakra, then your sacral chakra can also be healed from there, which is around the genital area. That's around your creative energy, okay? And so in order to awaken your creative nature, you have to come out of survival mode. Um, you might know what your gift is, but you might not feel that passion and that excitement and that zeal for your gift because your sacral chakra is underactive, is overactive, or is blocked. And so then you don't have the passion that you need to put into your gift. You don't have that excitement for your gift. You might feel overwhelmed or tired or burdened, and you just don't have the energy to put into your gift. This is where you're being called to acknowledge that. Take a look at where the root of that began. Do the work to heal it so that you can get on top of nurturing that seed, because your gift is the seed, okay? And so keep sharpening your gift and building on your creative nature. Then you have here, know you're not going crazy. Get grounded. You need stability during this transformation. And so we was just talking about getting grounded. That's all about that root chakra. Root chakra deals with getting out into nature, getting rooted. You know, the roots of the tree, the roots of plants. You want to get rooted. Get yourself back balanced so that you recognize that you are created to be here. Just like that tree that you see, that flower that you see, that bird that passes you by, those bees that get on your nerves, whatever the case may be, they're meant to be here and they're all well taken care of. They don't need a 9 to 5. Just like you. But see, the difference between human beings and nature is that nature does not work against what it was created to do. It goes with the flow of creation. It goes with the cycles of life. It is the human being that completely reinvents himself and becomes everything but what he or she was created to be. And so this is where we go wrong. And this is where we end up having those stumbling blocks where we have to literally tear down the false version of ourselves in order to come into union with who we was created to be. And that's not an easy process for many people. Most people would not be able to do that in this lifetime. But if you've come into a space where you've been doing the work and you recognize that, hey, this is something that I only did because it made my parents proud, or because it brought about a certain amount of status, or a certain amount of respect from people based on my title, or a certain amount of money, and it afforded me a certain type of lifestyle. But it's something about my spirit. Now that I'm beginning to awaken, I'm starting to see that there's something more that I need to do. And now you just feel that tug of war, that push and pull that says, I gotta go. But you're afraid to jump. You're afraid to take the leap of faith. This is where you have to start shifting your perception. So then you have here, you will greatly benefit from breathing exercises. And so, yeah, you might be going through some anxiety, having some anxiety about making these changes in your life. And so deep breathing exercises, take that deep breath. Remind yourself that you are alive, you are well, you are here, okay? And so you doing something outside of the norm and taking a different path is not going to take your breath away. Okay, it doesn't have to. It doesn't have to be that serious. You taking your divine path and doing what you was called to do is going to walk you through gates that's going to open up doors that you could never imagine. And in that moment, all you're being asked to do is just jump. Just jump. That's your responsibility. But it takes a certain amount of courage. It takes an amount of crazy faith. You have to become that person where everybody's looking at you saying, he crazy as hell. She done lost her damn mind. That's the type of faith that you want to be operating from when you get ready to jump, okay? Because that is the courage that you're going to need to give you the fuel, okay? Give you that excitement and the passion to say, I'm going to jump no matter what. because I know that I'm going to land softly and I'm going to land exactly where I belong because I am actually following through with what I'm being guided to do. That's some powerful stuff. It takes a strong person to do what the world is afraid to do. Okay? And so you're being called to do that. You also have here, you need to forgive her. So it could be a he or a she. There might be some unforgiveness that you have here. Maybe a little bit of resentment. And so this could be like, let's say you know who these people are that have thrown stumbling blocks in your way, maybe a specific person, and you're overly focused in on the losses that you had to take as a result of what they've done to you, and you haven't forgiven them. Then just know that even if you physically walked away from them, they still are that mountain in your life because energetically you still have a cord attachment to them. And so they still are able to have control over you in that sense, okay? This is why forgiveness is for you and it's not for the other person. They benefit from you forgiving them, but it's not for them. So, with or without the apology, forgiveness is needed right now so that you can release this person, release resentment, because those are low vibrational energies. And anytime you operate in low vibrational energies, it's heavy. That's burdensome and it's heavy. You can't be as light as a feather to take a leap of faith. Because if you taking a leap of faith like that fool does in the tarot deck, if you taking that leap of faith, you want to be able to float. Okay, you want to be light. That's why he goes with that little tiny bag. He packs light because it ensures that as you jump, you know, you're going to just kind of flow like a little feather exactly to where you belong. But if you weighed down and burdened with insecurities, lack mentality, unforgiveness, fear, those are low vibrational energies that are so heavy that in a spiritual realm, you try to jump with that type of energy, you bound to crash because you're going in with the wrong type of mindset. And so this is where you're being called to make some adjustments. So let me just see. I'm just going to ask this question here because I know time is moving. What actions can you take to build your faith right now? Because you might be wondering, well, how can I do this? You know, I'm so afraid and, you know, what am I going to do? What am I going to have? What actions can you take to build your faith? Because that's all you need is the faith to make the first leap, to take that jump and to continue to nurture the seed. Everything else is going to fall into alignment. I'm a living witness of that, okay? I came into this with absolutely zero. I was not a registered nurse that had buku money in the bank, okay? I had barely anything, okay? And it's sad to say, but that's how it was all aligned for it to be. If I would have came into this with financial abundance, then I probably would have still been lingering in terms of moving towards my path, okay? So you have here totality coming out in the reverse. Celebration is coming out in the reverse. So what can you do the question is, what can you do to build your faith? Well, you see both of these cards. There's 3 people in both cards. That's no coincidence there. The number 3 is there twice. 3, 3. And so, oh no, I'm sorry. This is the number 5. This is the number 3. But there are 3 people in both cards. So you might have 3 people that you need to walk away from. Or, you know, whether it's just one person. This one in the reverse shows that you're not ready to let go and to grab hands with someone new. You know, maybe a new partnership, a new business partnership, or someone who is in alignment with where you're headed, okay? You're being called to let go of someone in order to grab hands with someone else. For some of you, that's the case. Then for others of you, you're being called to release yourself in order to build your faith. You know, celebration is coming out in the reverse. So you might be celebrating with the wrong types of people. And this is why your faith is not where it could be, because you got too many naysayers around you who you call friends or who you put too much of your time and energy into. And so that's another thing. That can be a hindrance when you have too many people around you that have a negative aspect on life. You want like-minded people around, and if you don't have those people in your circle yet, then be okay with being alone for a time until you meet up with those people, because in totality, those changes, number 5 is all about changes, they will occur in order for you to grab hold and grab hands with people that have the same vision. Okay, and so also when I see the celebration card in the reverse, it tells me that in order to build your faith, you have to start celebrating your victories before you see them with your natural eyes. And so dance while it's raining, okay? Don't wait until the sun comes out to start celebrating, because you know the sun is going to come out after the rain. So why not just dance while it's raining? Because this is you watering your seed. Your excitement, your passion, your zeal, that gratitude and that happiness that you have, even in the moments where where it's like on the outside, those people who are looking at your circumstances are saying, damn, they just lost everything. Some of them are laughing. I just did that video about people, they laugh now and cry later. Some of them are laughing at where you are right now. And from their perception, from their very skewed and limited perception, they see you as being at the bottom. They think that you have nothing to celebrate, nothing to be grateful for, because you're not presenting to them certain things in the material realm to prove that the sacrifices that you are making are worthy, okay? Or they are, they have some sort of substance to them. But these are people that see things from the surface. They can't see past the surface of life. And so the only thing that would actually give them true evidence is things that are in the material realm, things that disintegrate over time. So these are people that don't have faith. And so when you start doing stuff that's outside the norm, the majority look at you and say, yes, he or she has lost their damn minds. They sitting over there, they left this, they left that, they left this person, they left that person, they took this sacrifice, they downgraded in this area of their life. What the hell are they doing? Ha ha ha. They're not getting anywhere. But you are celebrating, because you know that all of these changes and all of these sacrifices that you are making is because you're making room. You're releasing things because you like, no, I'm releasing. It's okay. All right. It's all right. That tower had to fall. I lost that. Okay, I had to take this little loss. All right. I don't have that. I don't have this. But you know that room is being made for something that's going to be so big. You got to clear it out. Your blessing is coming to you is going to be so big, and it's going to be so grand and so massive that you had to clear out the space. You had to clear out a whole bunch of stuff, people, places, and things, and thought processes internally and externally, because you know that the harvest that you have that's coming towards you is going to be great. That's the type of faith. And so what actions can you take to build your faith? Celebrate right now. Celebrate right now. Celebrate those things that you know are coming to you because you've done the work, and you're going to continue to do the work, and you're not going to give up on your vision. And because you are in the space of knowing that you have a gift, you know that you have a purpose, you know that your purpose is in regards to balancing out humanity in some way, shape, or form. And even if it doesn't look like that per se, you know that in everything that you do, whatever your gift is, whatever it is that you're getting ready to take the leap of faith to move towards, you know that you yourself are always going to operate from a space of integrity and love, and you're going to always remain humble because you know where you came from. You know the sacrifices that you had to make. You know the cuts that you had to make. You know the tears that you had to cry at night. You know the times that you sat up and you worried, but then you knew that you had to redirect and shift and go back into giving praise and giving honor and giving thanks, because at the end of the day, our existence here is not about what we gain as a result of what we do. Our existence here is about being the most authentic, the most genuine, and the most loving version of yourself, and putting all of that into whatever you was created to do, whatever you are passionate about. And on the other side of that, it impacts the world, even if you're not trying to do it on purpose. It just does. Because whenever you're operating in your authenticity, in your own nature, in the highest vibration, and you have that divine connection to the Most High and your spiritual team, you just exude a certain type of energy that is healing to others. It is empowering to others. It is strengthening and uplifting to others who are questioning, should I take this path? But they just see the happiness that you exude. They see the gratitude and the humble spirit that you still maintain. You always operate from integrity, even once you get to what some might call the top. You're still going to be that same person, and that's what's going to motivate the next person to do the same, and to not use underhanded measures to get to what they might call the top, because too many people have already done that. And in the age of Pisces, that's what the world was full of: egotistical, power crazed, materialistic, carnal natured, people operating from their root and sacral chakra that had no divine connection. They only saw themselves as being physical vessels that would ultimately die. So what was the slogan? What was it? What is it? YOLO, I think. I sound old, but I think it was YOLO. You only live once. YOLO. Nobody sees the fact that you are an ever evolving being, and that if you don't do what you was designed to do in this lifetime, you're going to have to come back and do this thing again. And it's going to be even harder lessons that you have to take in order for you to wake up to what this really is all about. This is about evolution. Okay. And so the outsider is here. What do you need to do in order to build your faith? Heal your inner child. Do the work to heal. Go back to the root of where all of this lack mentality, this fear, all of these things begin. Because once you heal this child right here, you have access. But until the work is done on the inner child, then access, it seems the illusion that is presented to you is that it's denied. But it's not denied, it's just delayed. Because in this picture, if you look closely, the lock that's right there is already open. This child has access to get to the other side of this gate. But the only reason why the child has not done it is because they haven't grown enough to understand how to maneuver the lock. And so the growth would be you nurturing that child so that, that imagination can awaken again, because children are the ones that have the imagination. That creative energy can reawaken within you again. That excitement and that passion for life and that carefree energy, that fearless energy can come back through again and allow you to celebrate. You're not overly focused on, paying bills or how they're going to get paid or who's going to see you and who's going to question you and who's going to applaud you. You don't care, because children, they really don't care. The only time that children start caring is when their parent or someone older steps in and says, no, don't do that, or no, that's dangerous. Otherwise, they just doing it and they find out later. You see what I'm saying? And so it's like, release, because I feel like you've been so caught up in holding on to the past. Your faith, how can you build your faith? By releasing. Because like I told you all before, you expand. You give yourself room for growth and for your blessings to come through when you release things. You see this woman sitting here, she's in a well. And what she has here is all of these gifts, all of these jewels, all of these possessions, all of these things that, become less valuable over time. She doesn't understand her own value. And so she allows herself to stay closed into a well as long as she's able to hold on to her possessions, people, places, or things. Okay. And so how can you expand? Your hands are not open or free for you to receive the blessings that are coming to you when you are constantly holding on to things that are no longer serving you. This is doing her no good, sitting up in this well, holding on to all of these jewels. And that's another reminder, just looking at this picture, this is like that energy of being of servitude to others. This particular image reminds me of, a lot of the things that we have, these worldly possessions, they play their role in terms of being able to build the kingdom and to be able to allow you to contribute to other people's lives. Yes, material wealth will allow you to do certain things. So I don't discount that. But when you hold on to certain things so tightly to the point where you become rigid, you become bitter, and the only thing that you're thinking about is just keeping what you see with your natural eyes, there's no expansion. There's no growth. And so what you're being called in order to build your faith is to give. Be of servitude right now. If you know what your gift is and you're sharpening your gift and you're working on your gift and you're just like, well, how do I take this leap of faith? Start by being of servitude without expectation. Be of servitude without expectation. And the only thing that you want to put into that, or maybe the only thing that you want to receive back from it, is just knowing that you're doing the right thing. That's it. You're doing the right thing and you're in alignment with your path. And so you give freely without expectation. When I first started doing this, I got my other channel, Shavi Zane, the spiritual counselor. It's still very little people that are on that channel. But when I first started doing this, I got some videos I had no views. And I had to be okay with that. because I said, okay, well, if nobody watched it, especially when I was doing my readings, I'm like, if nobody watched it, then this is just a message. Okay, I'm going to go and I'm going to be my own viewer, because there's something there that I need to see. And there's something in that message that's going to help to build me and strengthen me and empower me. And so when I got one view, I said, okay, well, remember that one person can hear a message that's going to allow them, that it's going to impact them so much that if their purpose is to influence millions, I have influenced one person who will go on to influence millions. And so you don't want to look at the numbers. You don't want to look at what, don't pay attention to anything in the material realm in terms of your harvest. The first harvest that you are going to receive is that which is internal. So if you are ready to take the leap of faith to move away from that position, and you know, not you're believing, but you know that you are being called to do something, and what your gift is to be of service to humanity, take that leap of faith, because you are going to be you're going to be greatly rewarded. Don't take that leap if you're bogged down and weighed down with lack mentality, fear, shame, guilt, worry about others' opinions, ego. If you're still in that energy, you're not ready to jump. So I'm not going to advise it, because you will injure yourself. But if you are in the energy of knowing that you are going to do something where you are going to help people to rise into their own divinity, or whatever it is that you're putting your passion into, you're doing it from a space of love. You know that you've done the work to heal yourself. You know that you're operating from integrity, fearlessness. You're not in lack mentality. You ain't worried about tomorrow where you're going to get anything, because your faith says, I'm taken care of. You take that leap of faith as well. It's your time. And your soul is calling for you to do it, because if it wasn't, you would not have come to this, to hear this message. So I feel like that's it. I'm going to take just maybe 3 cards from here, and I'm going to close out, okay? So I'm just going to randomly pick, 3 cards. So we have here, keep your heart open. Keep your heart open. So you don't want to close your heart off here. Don't become blocked off, because if everything, if your heart is open, that's all about that heart chakra energy. When your heart chakra is in alignment, then everything that you do it from a space of love, self-love, and it's reflecting in everything that you put your heart into. And so when your heart chakra is in alignment and you're doing things from a space of love, then you're attracting your blessings to you. Okay, the heart chakra, the energy that it emits into the universe, is one that is of attracting, of abundance, and it is of fertility and growth, okay, and healing. And so keep your heart open. That's why it's so important, like we spoke about from the beginning, to release certain people, to forgive certain people, and to know that, yes, they're going to receive their karma for those obstacles or stumbling blocks that they might have placed in front of you, but to know that that's no longer the focus. Just doing the work to cut those cords and to forgive and to redirect your intention towards your divine path and your vision. Then you have here, release control. That's very important when it comes to taking that leap of faith, because if you getting ready to jump and you worried about how you're going to do it, how you're going to land, where you're going to land, then that's trying to control the narrative of the situation. When you take the leap of faith, you jump. That in that Fool card, literally the character is looking up. So you looking up to the Most High. You're looking up with your faith and knowing that He got you. You're good. So you don't plan no strategic fancy way of how you gonna jump. You just get that energy up, get that passion up, get excited. Get excited about where this is getting ready to take you. And just like the doggone road runner, you go ahead, you take off running, and you jump. And you jump as far and as fast as you can, knowing that you're looking up and you're trusting that everything is going to be okay, because it will. It's going to be more than okay. You're going to actually be blessed for the sacrifice that you made, because you did something so bold and so grand. So know this. Then you have assess the situation. So just, sit down and look at things. But I feel like this is you assess where you're at right now. Assess why you're ready to expand outside of your 9 to 5 or outside of whatever career path you're in right now. Assess Are you able to evolve in that position, or is it keeping you low vibrational? Are you stressed out getting up every single day to go to work? Are you having road rage every time you out in traffic because you got two strikes left to show up at work 3 minutes late, even though they work you so hard that sometimes you stay over for the sake of helping them out, but let you be 3 minutes late, it's over with, they cutting you? Are you stressed out, feeling like you putting in all of this effort, but you're not receiving back half of what you're giving? Fully assess the situation. That's from the surface. Then take it a step higher from a bird's eye view. Rise high above the situation and assess it from a spiritual perspective. Are you able to evolve in this job? Are you able to be of service? Are you able to vibrate high? Are you able to operate from self love? Are you able to give from compassion? Assess it from all angles, and then you determine what your next move should be based on your full assessment. And you cut those cords with those people that don't need to be in your life. You release all fear, and you get prepared to jump so that you can nurture that seed, because the seed is the jump. From there, you nurture it, you water it. I love you all. I'll talk to you all next time.